Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special and exciting Facebook Live with me, Jen Bengal, and my amazing new friend, Hannah Shrimp, who is an awesome teacher. And we're here today to have a little conversation about the new vocabulary curriculum. Hannah's been using it this last week, so I invited her on to share, and she has some amazing things to tell you about. But I thought first that I would have her introduce herself and let us know, Hannah, who you are, where you're from, what kids you teach, and all that good stuff.
Yes. Hi, everybody. So I'm Hannah. I teach sixth grade at a charter school in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I teach at a school that is 77% ESL, so most of my students are Hmong or of the Asian culture. And I even have some students who are from East and West Africa as well. So the very huge abundance of ESL students that, as we're talking about today, the vocabulary, that struggle with the vocabulary and the complexity, especially in sixth grade. And so Jen invited me on today just to kind of talk about the successes I've had this week with the vocabulary, and just things that I've noticed that work well with the vocabulary and things I suggest that you do in your own classroom as well. So I just kind of also want to talk about kind of what I did this past year and in the past 4 years teaching in sixth grade with my vocabulary. And so every week my students had 6 words, and I would pull from a very popular list of sixth grade vocabulary that definitely would fall in that tier 2. And I would have, every Monday I would have a PowerPoint ready to go with definitions, with parts of speech, within context, everything. And then including that, I would also have them write sentences every day. But when we got to Friday and took the actual test, I would see that my students weren't actually understanding them completely, which is so disheartening, and it just stinks, especially when you're working with ESL students. So I'm just here today, like I said, just to share what I did this week and the awesome success I saw this past Friday.
That's so awesome, Hannah. I can't wait for you to really dive in and share. And before we go any further, I want to tell you guys, I'm going to give you a free week. There's going to be some links popping up in the comment section that you can get a free week for grade 3, 4, 5, or 6. And so you'll see those links pop up in a little bit after Hannah shares some more. And I'm just really excited for her to tell us about what she did this week. So Hannah, what did you do? That's awesome.
Okay, well, first of all, we're kind of at the end of the school year, so I was like, I just need to kind of freshen up my vocabulary, and I've been dying. I know a lot of you out there probably, when you saw that vocabulary, I need to do this now because it's super awesome. But I'm sure a lot of you are also waiting. For me, I wanted to get kind of right into it, just to getting the kinks out and see what I was doing, so I'm kind of a master next year. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm here to kind of share with you the insides of what I did this week. So the first thing was I introduced with my students, I go, you have 14 vocab words this week, and they all were like, what? 14 words? I cannot believe that I'm going to do that. And so a lot of them had that deer in the headlights look, I'm never going to be able to remember 14 words. So I was like, don't worry, we are going, I got your back on this, basically. Yeah. So on Monday, I introduced all the words, and you'll notice, especially if you get that first week, you'll see the very first day, you're going to see all of these words within context, within a story, which is super awesome. And so, I went through it and then went through the story, and as I stopped, you go through those tier 2 words and you share your own thinking, which I think is super important. So especially in that first day, you need to make sure that you're modeling what you think and how you connect that word as well, because it's going to help those students see that thinking is okay, and also to even stop and think about words for a couple seconds, because we all come about words that are brand new, and that it's okay to stop and think about them. So it was really cool to see that. Mm-hmm. But Monday was, I would say, is definitely I think they're okay, I see these words, it's going to be okay, I think. But let's keep going. So that was Monday, and even with Monday, they end up going in and defining a couple words. So it says in the directions, choose 5 words, I think, or 10, I can't remember.
I think it's 5,
yeah, 5 words. And so they go and I go, you can choose any of them. It doesn't matter. You highlight all 14, choose 10. And I think it's great because they are seeing the words and connecting the vocabulary in their writing, which is always a great strategy to use to memorize words as well. Then we move into Tuesday. Tuesday was by far my favorite day, and same with my students. When you're sitting there and you're if something's enthusiastic, you say that's exciting. And so you go through the list that Jen provides you, and it's so fun because there are times where they don't agree with you, and it's just crickets, and you're like, good, yes, and then you laugh, and it's, it's just, they're like, you're getting homework every night is not exciting, Mrs. Trump. And so it's really cool to see that, and to have them kind of interact with the vocabulary as word, and again, they're making those personal connections to it, so they're seeing that their real life is attaching to those vocabularies as well. So it's super cool to see that. By far, and even as I go back to the week, they're like, I love Tuesday. Tuesday was definitely the best day.
That's so good. Yeah, I love it.
I know, it was so fun. And then we go into Wednesday. And Wednesday's when they're associating the word. And so again, that's more personal connections. Again, I think the one thing that is the best thing about this curriculum is that they're connecting it. And especially if you teach students that are in that ESL, are identified as ESL, the more you can connect to their life, because they already have limited background knowledge on many things, the better it's going to be. And so I wanted to share, can I share the anchor chart? Is that okay? Yeah, okay.
So Hannah made these anchor charts for the week.
Yeah. Let me just pull them really quick.
Which I thought was so brilliant.
Yes. And I am like, can everybody see this? Okay, let's see here.
There you go.
It's kind of hard to see, but anyway, so this is like super, in my classroom, anchor charts are really, really important just because of because I teach as a high volume of ESL students. And Jen speaks to this a lot, is when you are having them answer a question and they actually get to see and respond, it's super important because they see how important their words are and their thinking. So I actually can bring this up just a little bit here. And so I wrote down kind of like what Jen kind of prompts you, and then I wrote down their own thinking, which is very common in anchor charts. But it's really fun to see that, and I think they really appreciate the fact that you're writing down their thinking as well. Yeah, and then also another really great thing about Wednesday is that what kind of conversations you have. So on average, it really took me, you could definitely get this done every day in 10 to 15 minutes, easy peasy. I just think in my classroom, and the importance of vocabulary, especially at that 6th grade complexity, I spent just a little bit more time on it. So I would say I spent probably 20 minutes a day on it for sure, just because I had a lot of students, not understand the difference between enthusiastic and contemplating. Obviously to us, we're like, well, there's a huge difference between those words, but to a student who has limited background, they don't understand the difference. And so we went on a really deep conversation about the word contemplating, which is kind of funny because it's ironic, right? Because you're deep thinking, you're thinking carefully about something. But, for an example, one of my students was like, I was like, share something that you're contemplating. And he went into going, oh, getting a cell phone. Okay, well, what are you deep thinking about? So are you deciding between 2 different cell phones, or are you enthusiastic about it? Like you're excited about getting one. And so I think especially at that moment, he was like, oh, I see the difference of that word. So if I didn't intentionally take that time to explicitly talk about that word and the differences between them, I think that if we went to Friday, he wouldn't have gotten that word correct.
Exactly. That's perfect. And you put it in his real life too. That's so good that you did that.
Yeah, yes. So, and then to move on, so on top of that, I also want to share, so this is also that day. Here's just some of my students' work. So on top of that, you're going to have independent work for them, but I also kind of did a little bit more, again, for just extra support. So this is the day that they put the word in their own sentences. So again, this is just to make them making connections. So this is my student, Haley, who is she was talking about the word custom, which means be made in a specific way you want it. So she said that my mom's company made their own custom t-shirts. So again, she's making her own connections to that word. Urgent, which means right away. My brother broke his wrist. It was urgent to leave to the hospital right away, which is great. Scattered, to go in many directions. When I got done cleaning, I found puzzle pieces scattered all over the living room floor.
Wow.
So yeah, and I think that's really great. And again, she's one of my ESL students, so to see her create sentences with that word is just a really cool thing to see.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and then to go into day 4, again, I made another anchor chart, so let me just pull it really quick.
Yeah, let's show me the anchor chart. I'm loving your anchor chart.
I know. And so this is my second anchor chart. And so this is going into, I hope everybody can hear me, I walked away. So this is going into day 4, and this is the word relationship. So this is where you are looking at words and seeing their differences and similarities as well. So for an example, again, I'm going to try to bring this a little close if I can. The first is, would you rather feel enthusiastic or scattered? And why? And so I'm really big into personal thinking time. So it's really important to always give them at least 10 seconds of thinking time because, again, especially with ESL students, they need processing time because it's a big question. Like, would you rather feel enthusiastic or scattered? And so not only do they have to pull that new definition into their brain, but then apply it to their own life. So it takes a second. So I always let them think, and then they turn and shared, which is also very important. You speak to that all the time, is turning and sharing your thinking with a partner or a group of students, whatever it may be. And so we go in, and then this is one of my students, and I already know her. She's very like neat. She's like, I rather feel enthusiastic because I hate being messy. Which is, yes. And then another one too I thought was really cool. So again, this is another student who was new to our school this year, who was definitely a part of other schools where she wasn't very successful in. So I think that this shows just how awesome this curriculum is. We go in and it says, would you rather be seen or unnoticed? And unnoticed was the vocab word. And so she goes in unnoticed because being seen causes other people to judge you. So it's, which is really cool to see that because it not only, that's at 6th grade. Like when you're in 6th grade, like all you do is worry about what people think about you. So not only I thought it was really brave of her to share that thinking, but I think that was very deep thinking as well.
That's amazing. Yeah,
it was really cool. And then I want to share this last one too because it's super cute. The very last one here says, would you rather be in the presence of an older or younger kids, and why? And I actually wrote down 2 answers because why not, right? Yeah. So I go in there and one student says, younger kids because they are cheerful and playful, and it causes me to feel that way. So she's talking about like how, how you surround people around you and how that really, decides how your day is going to go. And then that other student goes, older because younger kids don't understand what you're going through. And again, 6th grade. Yeah, it's really good. And I mean, again, that's in 6th grade. So like that's, you want to be surrounded by people that understand you and understand that you have a hard day and somebody probably was bullying you, or maybe you broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend. You just never know, right? I have tons of those in my classroom. But it was so cool to see them not only share their like thinking about it, but also share some really personal things because they are starting to understand on day 4 like the complexity of these vocab words and how important they are. Yeah. So it's so cool to see that.
That's so awesome. I love how they just really made them personal too. That's so cool.
Yeah, and then on top of day 4 as well, let me find one because I have, on top of day 4, I also did just comparing, contrasting of words, which is another thing that I think is really important to do. So in here, I'm just pulling one of my students. So I just had them, because it just takes some time to get through the actual independent practice that you provide them. But here was another thing, so I had them choose, they had to do 2 compare and contrast. And then so choosing 4 words. So for an example, one student on here says enthusiastic and exclaimed. And so exclaim means to be really loud. Enthusiastic obviously means that you're excited. And so both enthusiastic and exclaim, they said that sometimes it can mean that you're surprised, which is a similarity, which it works. Joy, because you can be enthusiastic and still show like happiness, and then joy because when you speak loudly means maybe you're really joyful. Yeah, it's cool to see that. And this is a student of mine too. Let me just make sure. This is a student of mine that again, that was that he wasn't understanding that difference between contemplating and enthusiastic. So for him to get to day 4 and to see that change is really, really great.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of like how my week went. It definitely, like I said, the first week's going to take you a little bit of time. Just because you want to make sure you're doing everything right. I highly recommend when you get to day 3 and day 4 that you prep an anchor chart. I didn't because I was like, what am I doing? But I, for now on, will because I do think it's great just to have that ready to go. And if you want that to go faster, have it prepped and ready to go as well. So
that's really good advice. I love it.
And then to kind of go back into, I kind of want to share like how much of a difference this curriculum brought into my classroom.
This is the exciting part. You guys are going to like listen to this. I mean, seriously.
Okay, it's super awesome. So just to kind of go back, like I said before, in my old curriculum, you know, I really thought I was doing everything right. And so on Friday, I was always really excited because a lot of them had like their note cards out and they're studying them. And so I gave them the test, and they are also plugging in words into context. So I'd make sentences for the word to be plugged into, because I knew that was some best practice in vocabulary. But then as I get the test back and I'm looking, so again, don't judge me, but the last 15 tests, I had an average of 34% passing. So that means that like between 9 and less students out of 28 are passing, which is like, that shows you that not only they're not understanding it, but they're not using it in their speaking and they're not using it in their writing.
Yeah.
So that's speaking, you know, and again, to me, when I saw that data and I knew that was happening, I was just kind of at a loss. It's like, what do? I feel like I'm doing this right. Like I'm giving them studying strategies. I mean, what can I do?
Yeah.
And I knew that Jen was coming out with this curriculum, and I'm a huge Jen Bangle fan. I have tons of her products in my classroom. And so I was waiting and waiting. I bought this stuff the second it was available, took her webinar and implemented it the next week. And so we went through this week, and on Friday I had them correct it, and they took both tests, 28 questions. And I had 89% pass the assessment. 89% to go from 34% average to 89% speaks, I mean, volumes about this curriculum. It is crazy the change I saw that. And out of that 89%, 21 out of 28 got 100% on my test. 100%, which is so great to see. I know it's really, really cool. And my one student, again, to go back to that, Jacob, who does struggle with words. He's definitely one of my students who are severe ESL. He got 100%.
That is amazing.
It is amazing because he would get 2 out of 8, maybe on a good day 4 out of 8, but he got 100%
on 14 words.
Out of 14 words, which is so cool. Yeah, and then also like another student of mine who, you know, I worry about it. I work with a lot just in all curriculum area or all content areas, excuse me. She used to get 1 out of 8, 2 out of 8 max. She got an 84% yesterday.
That is
84%. And so that means she only got 4 of them wrong, which is great. And as I went through the data, you know, it's still those tier 2 words. So I know myself, I really make sure I am focusing on them. And the thing that is really great too is that what you work through the entire week with them, like on your anchor charts or an independent study, they are working with those tier 2 words over and over and over again. So you'll get tons of practice. I just think that with me doing it just kind of blindly, that I think that the next week they will do much better. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get, I want 90, and then I want 95, and then I want 100%. So I'm pushing for that. I know it can happen. Yeah, and also to share, just I had a couple students. I was like, "Can you share with me what you liked about the curriculum?" And a very common theme with them was like the repetition of the words. So I never, and I'm sure a lot of you out there, I never went back and talked about the vocabulary. I mean, I did, but not like explicitly like this vocabulary does. You kind of like treat vocabulary kind of like spelling. You know, when you kind of do traditional spelling, you talk about them once, and you're like, you need to write them 10 times every night, and then you have a test on Friday, and that's very normal. And so I never thought about repeating those words every day. And again, that's me. Maybe some of you out there are like, of course, why wouldn't you do that? But, you know, so it was different for me to spend that time and that explicit instruction on vocabulary, and for them to be like, I loved that you repeated it every single day. And because of that repetition, I was successful on this test.
Oh, that's so
it was
awesome.
really cool. Yeah, definitely.
I know Hannah emailed me yesterday and told me how well they did on the test, and I was just so excited for them because I feel like every student who works with any curriculum that I have is my student too. So I made them a funny like 30-second video that she shared with her class, and I was like doing dorky dances, and I'm like, 6th graders will love this, and I was just so proud of them and proud of Hannah too. I mean, just incredible work this week. So. And I can't imagine their confidence. Like, I just get excited thinking about how much more confident they are.
Yeah, it's so cool. And to also speak to the confidence, again, that one student of mine who got that 84%, who's only gotten 1 out of 8, 2 out of 8, we wrote these like end of the year letters for my new 6th graders. And one of our tier 2 words was click. and she was reflecting on the year, and it talks about like some of your favorite things that you liked about sixth grade, or I forget the exact context of the word, but she put the word click in her paragraph, and like
Wow.
this is, and no one will completely understand because you don't know the student, but for her to plug that word into an actual sentence and plug it in correctly was like, it just, I was almost in tears. I was like, she did it. And like, this means that this curriculum has basically changed their view on vocabulary and like their understanding and how they're applying it. So like I said, if you're a teacher out there that teaches ESL students, you need to purchase this curriculum because it's going to change your world in vocabulary and how you teach it. And you're going to see huge growth, not only in understanding of words, but students' comprehension of complex text, especially at that sixth grade level.
That is so awesome. I am so excited for them and for you. And in just 1 week, like for her to use that word without being prompted in a different thing related to not just being in vocabulary class is just like so exciting. So I bet she felt super smart to be able to use it and use it the right way. Confident.
She's a hard worker, and she like is one of those students that really thrives after doing well, and she doesn't always do that. You know, she struggles a lot. So I think that made her feel really, I mean, she literally said this in her notes. I have it. She's like, it helped me. Well, how it helped me because it was rigorous, which I love that she uses that word. I literally use the word rigorous every day. Rigorous, but fun. And at the end, I learned 14 new words, and I passed at an 84%. So, like, you can just see her speaking to that how proud she is of that 84%. Yes. Now, I want her to get higher because I know it's those tier 2 words, but we'll get her there. The better I get at teaching it, the better she's going to, students like her will get at understanding these complex words.
Yep, and her confidence is just going to make it even better. Yeah, it's just so great. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited that you agreed to hop on and share your week with us, Hannah. Like, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and your time and everything. And I know I promised you guys a free week, so I'm going to have those free weeks popping up now in the comment section. So you'll see grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, and grade 6 that you can get a free week of. It'll take you to a Google Drive, and you can just download a free week. If you teach kindergarten, first, or second grade, those resources are over at Ms. DeCarbo's store. She wrote all the kindergarten through second grade curriculum, and that's Christina DeCarbo. I think if you type in primaryvocabulary.com, you'll see all of her stuff at her store. But go ahead if you teach 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th to grab those links. I see that they popped up now. Hi, Marcia, I see you. I try and look at the comments, but I'll come back, and I think Hannah said she might answer some questions too afterwards, and I'll certainly comment back after we get off the live. But is there anything else you want to add, Hannah, like that you forgot? Or
no, I think it feels good. Just definitely get it, and don't be afraid. Just kind of jump in and, you know, fix it as you go. It's amazing curriculum. It's definitely worth the investment. Definitely worth it.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for joining me this morning, and thanks to everybody for watching. I hope you enjoy the week that you're going to try it out, and you have the success that Hannah has had. I'm just so proud of her and her kids, and thank you again.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you guys all later. Bye.
Bye.